Hello everyone, my name is Keane. This video may be a little long. I'm going to probably name it The Great Expansion. A great deal of scientists out there claim that everything that is within this universe came from a singularity. A singularity that is theorized to be about the size of that of a softball. And at some point in time, it imploded upon itself and then somehow exploded into what some would refer to as the Big Bang, but would actually be more technical terms would be the Great Expansion, in which all the energies and all the force, all the power of the singularity expands out to the ends of the universe, creating all that which is our gas, and of course matter being infinite, cannot be destroyed, can only be transformed. Now the question I would have to ask myself about this particular situation is, it is believed, because of this great expansion, that our universe exists, our worlds, our planets, our suns, our solar systems, galaxies, that because of this, somehow the Earth was able to work itself into a situation where all things evolved and came to be. The thing that makes me curious is that if it happened as it is said, and there's a lot of evidence that stands behind the theory and the concept, as you all know, there's a difference between a normal average Joe who comes up with a theory or a guess or something compared to that of science, which goes through processes and examinations, analysis, and research. It's much different than that of just a guess. But if there was a point in time where there was this softball singularity with all this energy and everything that we have in the universe within it, this begs the question, was there consciousness within the singularity? And the reason why I say that is because, oh boy, this is kind of complicated. But if all the properties and all the energy somehow manifested themselves into what we know as the human race as well as the animal kingdom, and at one time all that stuff was mixed into one single power, or one single source, which would be the singularity, would it be safe to say, or even logical to theorize, that perhaps in that one force of energy there was a consciousness, a perception, an idea, awareness of one's own existence, perhaps a unity, kind of like that of a legion. For those who are into the Bible and those who believe in a God and believe in the New Testament, remember a story about Jesus casting a bunch of pigs and demons into a bunch of pigs, like 2,000 of them that referred to themselves as legion. And of course they hurled themselves off a cliff and were killed. My concept that I'm trying to put forth is that at one point in time, all of our elements and all of our properties were conduced and compressed down into one single singularity. Perhaps at this time, if we were aware of ourselves and we existed in this form, could it be possible that we had all known each other, and we had an understanding of our surrounding and environment, making ourselves aware of this great I am, as some would call it. And please don't try to take this into Christianity or the realms of the Muslim belief system. I'm just sitting here shooting out some shit just to talk about something interesting. So what is said is that when the Great Expansion did happen, all these elements and properties and processes exploded across the great darkness, the void, starting that which is what we know as the universe, some elements and properties were able to take on other forms, which then would be natural selection, adaptation, evolution, once we had a world that was conducive to the existence of life as we know it. In this way, if it is true what the scientists say, then we share a bond and a relationship with all that is around us, including the sky, including the ground, including every animal, every life, every plant. In this way, we have a cosmic relationship with all the forms and waves of nature. And please don't start promoting paganism because of what I've said on this. This is just me shooting the shit, me chilling out, coming up with some thought process. The thing that I would wonder is there's a lot of people out there who have this strange connection where they feel like there's something out in the universe that is aware of us, who feels it necessary to stare upon our existence and care about our well-being, or has at least some kind of concern for our welfare. If it is true that the singularity, now this is me it's not really a claim, I'm just throwing some shit out there, that we all came from one consciousness or one single force of power or energy, then is it possible that the residues or the energy from that singularity still exists somehow in the universe at its starting plan that may still attribute consciousness and is aware of the properties of itself that exploded all over the universe? Who knows? Perhaps there is a great deal of residue or matter or energy out there that still has the greater energy than the elements that expanded with what we call the Big Bang. And if that's true, then it's possible that I wouldn't call it a higher power, I wouldn't refer to it as a God, but a mechanism of the singularity that may be conscious of its own existence and the explosion that took place that spread the particles and the consciousness all over the universe. It's an interesting thing to think about. I remember a while back people used to believe that not Big Bangs, but black holes were considered a threat to us, but it has later been discovered that because of black holes, it actually helps create that of our galaxies. Because of it, it actually in turns kind of sucks in the energy through what we call the horizon, the event horizon, and through that it basically like a tube, or maybe using the word warp hole or anything, somehow extracts the energy from things and then shoots it out the other side. In doing so, the energy and all the particles and the mass heat would then create who knows, perhaps it creates more galaxies. Perhaps when black holes collide and everything, they could start a whole new solar system or galaxy. I don't know, though. I wouldn't take my word on it, though, because I'm not a scientist. I don't know every single thing. I don't know all the equations. I'm not into, physics or anything like that myself. I'm just a guy who's really imaginative. So don't take my word for it. Don't jump on it and start a new religion out of it. But that's my idea about the singularity. Perhaps there was nothing there. Perhaps after it exploded, the elements somehow combined in a way, in just the perfect way to be able to create what we know as life. The problem with this situation is that this doesn't help us move any further. If this truly was the answer to the origin of the universe and our consciousness and how we came to exist, the problem is that if I'm right, then our lives are timed. And the reason why I say that is because if, because of the singularity, exploded out, causing the universe, then it's most likely going to have, like a rubber band effect or a contraction, where it will expand and then kind of bounce. It would probably be more logical, instead of calling it the Big Bang or the Great Expansion, to call it the Big Bounce. Because if it happened like this, then the energy is going to retract and then do what we call a backdraft. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, where the fire and the explosions and the heat will sooner or later absorb itself, come back into a ball, and then explode out again, destroying all the prior life that exists in the universe, and then repeating itself like a cycle. And we see that in nature, so it wouldn't be difficult to analyze the situation and say that that could be the case. We know that in nature, things exist for a time, and then when they die or they cease to exist, the energies go back into nature and life seems to be recreated. So we are just on one small wheel of the machine called the universe. And if one day we were to ever understand the singularity and how it all started, it wouldn't matter if we ever got our answers, whether we believe that there was a God or some mechanism or higher consciousness out there. It would not matter, because the universe would then detract itself and explode. So, I don't know. There's some scientists out there who are debating the concept of dimensions and vortexes and ideas that there are different layers to what we know as reality. And if these dimensions, I was talking to a buddy of mine called 5 Cent Cigar, who made the hypothesis that what if the dimensions every once in a while wrapped around one another or layered each other, like that of a sound wave, or what we would refer to as a nexus? Would it cause us, for just still moments in time, to be able to see images or the residue of other dimensions, where it may appear to us as though we're seeing ghosts? That it causes a effect scientifically known as brain synchronization, or a wave mapper, in which we could actually see, just for a moment, little points in time of different dimensions, if that makes any kind of sense. It would be like, in a simple way of putting it, traveling through time and actually being able to, at the same time, simultaneously being able to go through all outcomes at the same time, and they blend together, in which you can see all the different images. Like if let's say in the future a city is going to be blown up, and we travel forward into the future, we will travel forward through several million different outcomes. We can see how this image and this image and this image layered all over each other, of course still being the same end result. I may have lost a lot of you on my theories and ideas, but I figured I would put forth the concept and see what you all think. You've been listening to Keane, and this video is called The Great Expansion.